Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Najwa Thamacheep. My student number is 088. Today, I will talk about how culture affects helping and advising in Japan. Culture is on sociality transmitted behavior, art, attitude, traditional, which is learned and shared in the particular social group of the same nationality, ethnicity, religion, and in hand down from the one generation to another. It gives the people their way of seeing the world and interpreting life. Culture can be understood as the reason of human activity in the duration of the life. Its work with time, with the natural environment, because culture is the one system, idea, action, and reason of the human work in the people life. This means that almost all the human action are culture as well as the instinct to help and advise the other. Most of the culture is determined by the way of the communicate with the is happen in Japan, where it the Japanese still maintain the determined by the way of the communicate with the is happen in Japan, where it the Japanese still maintain the culture the way have in the providing, helping, also as why the people around them.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Destriana Indria and now I'm going to continue the explanations about helping and advising in Japan. Well, Najwa has already told you about the explanations in how culture affect the way people helping and advising in Japan. So this is my time to explain more to you about the examples of it. Well, as explained before, in Japan there's a culture of helping and advising, and Japanese still maintain it. I will give you 3 examples of helping in Japanese. The first one, in Japan, there's a culture that is called cooperations, or in Bahasa Indonesia, we can call it as a gotong royong. Culture in Japan does not really accommodate for those who work individually. They will prioritize a group of cooperations. This collaboration can be seen in many Japanese companies that always emphasize cooperations in their respective department by forming small or a team in doing a work. And the second one is, if you are accidentally leave or drop your valuable belonging in Japan, such as bag, which inside there's a wallet, cell phone, or maybe a laptop or cameras, or even an umbrella, it can be sure that those things can be back to your hands. Why? Because in Japan there is a culture that is called as a collectivism. And one of the positive effect of collectivism in Japan is Japanese has a high sense of empathy and helping people. So they have a togetherness. So that's why when there's a lost thing in Japanese, it can be easier for you to find it again. Japanese will almost always return it into the nearest police department, police stations, or even in lost and found lockers. Well, the third one is about we know that Japanese are known as a country that is respect other people's privacy. But in the other hand, if there's someone or foreigners who still need help, they will still help you, because as I told you before about collectivism, Japanese not only have a high sense of empathy, high sense of helping other people or togetherness in returning a lost lost item, but also when other people need their help, they will still help them because they are still social beings, so they still have sympathy and empathy. Okay, I think that's all for me. The next explanations and example about advising will be presented by Sukmawati. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Sukmawati Rani, student number 65, and now I will continue the presentation to explain about the advising in Japan. And talking about helping and advising in Japan, I think all of the country, they have their own ways and culture to treat their people, to do their activities around them or around their environment. And also people will always maintain the culture that already exists in their country. And the advising here, our group will explain it by comparing the elements that has a values which usually becomes guidelines and restriction in Japan. And there are three examples. We have three examples of advising of Japan and Indonesian, and this example we adapted from the Japanese proverb and Indonesian cultures. So the first example that is about advising by presenting the story of heroism. So this is usually called as no bunraku. Yeah, no bunraku in Japan. Japanese will more learn about the value of life by watching the show, watching the no bunraku. While in Indonesia there is a puppet story which usually teach people about the exemplary values. Yeah, so this is also already applied in Indonesia, especially in Japanese. And the second example, there is tapa salah seleh sapa jujur mijur. That is usually used as a tools of force to tell something truth. So people will learn about sapa salah saleh sapa jujur mijur to learn something, to say something truth. While in Japan there is nokori no mono fa fukuga. Yeah, this sentence teach Japanese to learn about respect others, so they can respect others. So the nokori no mono fukuga will teach them about respect. And the last example is Japanese will suggest people with direct sentence. The Japanese, they will prefer say, it's better to you if you study hard to improve your test score. While in Indonesian, they usually use have a great job. You have to do your best, but you will do more best if you study harder, and you will get your highest score. And so that's all for me, and the next presentation will be delivered by Elis.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. My name is Elis Tiani and my student number is 16072, and I'm going to make a conclusion about today's topic, that is helping and giving advice in Japan and Indonesia. Okay, so from the materials that have been elaborated before, it can be concluded that Japan is a country which has various cultures. Almost all of the human actions are cultural, as well as the instinct of people to help and give advice for the others. And also, in this modern era, there are some Japanese cultures that still be applied in Japan, because those have relation with the guidance or prohibition to determine the human's attitude, like suggestion or prohibition in daily life. And for the examples of the Japanese cultures that still be applied in society, and it relates with the giving advice and help each other. For the example, for the first one is Japanese really prefer to work cooperatively rather than individually, because if they work cooperatively, it will help them to make the work faster and to help each other. And the second one is that Japanese really have high sense of togetherness, so they are very sensitive about the things around them. For example, when someone drops their bags, so the Japanese will help him even though the Japanese doesn't know about the person. So they will help the person. And the last one is that Japanese really respect the other people's privacy. And the next is about the example of giving advice in Japan, that in Japan there is a performance, namely no or Boroko. It is a performance which tells about a story that has a lot of moral values. It is same like in Indonesia. Like in Indonesia, we name it as like a puppet. Yeah. And the second one is that Japanese will talk to the people if he wants to give advice, so he will directly talk to the people, to the person. For example, when the Japanese really feel like want to fix the person's attitude, so the Japanese will tell to him directly. It is different with Indonesia, that Indonesia really prefer to make a small talks first, then to give the advice a little. Yeah, that's all. So that's all about the today's topic. We hope that from these materials you can get a lot of benefits and can improve your knowledge about the cultures in Japan as well as Indonesia. Okay, thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.